All right, let's talk about something a lot of us do, but maybe don't talk about all that much. And that's creating these entire detailed worlds inside our own heads. We're going to dive into what happens when that inner world starts to feel, well, a little more real and maybe even more important than the world right in front of us. I mean, you've totally been there, right? Replaying some conversation that never even happened, or picturing this amazing future so clearly it almost feels like a memory. Yeah, it's a perfectly human thing to do. But what happens when that place you visit in your head stops being just a brief escape and starts to feel more like where you actually live? Because for some of us, it does. It becomes way more than just a little daydream. It turns into a habit, an escape. It's that cozy comfort zone. It's a place you go back to so often that the path is just worn smooth. It's familiar, it's safe, and sometimes, yeah, it feels more like home than home does. And this whole pattern, it actually has a name. It's called maladaptive daydreaming. And that's really the key here. We're not just talking about your mind wandering off for a second. This is a coping mechanism. Think of it like this. It's your brain building this incredibly detailed, elaborate shelter to protect you from the storms of real life. Things like stress or loneliness or some kind of deep emotional pain. So what's it actually like inside these worlds? What makes them so compelling? Let's dive in and take a closer look. Well, at first, it feels totally harmless. I mean, it's a place where you're just better. You're more confident, more successful, more loved, and honestly, who wouldn't want that? In these worlds, you're the hero of your own story. You always know the perfect thing to say, you always win the argument, you finally get the recognition you've been craving. It's basically a highlight reel of the life you wish you had. So, that begs the question, why do we feel the need to escape there to begin with? And that question right there gets to the absolute heart of the matter. It's not really enough to know what we're doing, we've got to understand why. And it really comes down to this. Our brains love comfort. They're basically hardwired to find pleasure and run away from pain. So when real life gets overwhelming or just plain hard, these fake scenarios we cook up, they give us instant emotional relief. Real life can be messy, it can be uncertain, it can be slow. But a daydream, boom, you get an immediate hit of comfort, a sense of control. It's like your brain is taking the ultimate shortcut to feeling good. And if you look at the reasons the mind creates these worlds, it's fascinating how specific they are. We're talking about escaping rejection, fixing painful memories, feeling important, avoiding the fear of failure, finding love. Each one of these points to a really deep unmet emotional need. These fantasies are filling a very real void. And this is maybe the most important thing to get. People who do this are not lazy. This isn't some character flaw. So often, it's actually a sign of a really sensitive thinker, an overanalyzer, or someone who's carrying around these unprocessed emotional wounds. It's a coping strategy, plain and simple, not a sign of weakness. But like any strategy, it comes with a price. Yeah, this coping strategy, it's not free. There is a hidden cost to spending so much time in a fantasy. So let's break down that trade-off. And this really lays it out clearly. In the fantasy world, you get all the good stuff right away. Immediate comfort, excitement, a feeling of control. But what's happening back in reality? Well, your real-life goals get delayed. You avoid those tough but necessary conversations, and you're left with this deep feeling of being stuck. And here's the kicker. The more stuck you feel, the more appealing that fantasy world becomes. It's a really vicious cycle. And then, of course, there's the guilt, right? That quiet, nagging feeling deep down because you know you're hiding. You know you're avoiding the life that's actually waiting for you. But hold on. This is where we need to hit pause. Because what if this isn't just a story about costs and guilt? What if we've been looking at this whole thing completely wrong? Okay, this is where the story flips. What if this whole thing isn't a flaw that you need to fix? What if it's actually a superpower in disguise? Just let that sink in for a second. The problem isn't that you have this incredibly powerful imagination. I mean, that's an amazing gift. The real challenge is just about how you're using it. Seriously, think about it. Your ability to imagine so deeply, to build entire worlds with characters and complex plots, all inside your head, that is the engine of creativity, of art, of innovation, of problem solving. Your mind isn't broken. It's actually kind of brilliant. So That's the real challenge. The goal isn't to kill your imagination. No way. The goal is to pivot. It's to learn how to aim that incredible power outwards, to use it to actually create your life instead of just escaping from it. Okay, so how do we actually do that? Let's get practical. Let's talk about the steps you can take to start building that real life. And look, this is not about just stopping daydreaming cold turkey. That's not realistic. This is about becoming more mindful. It starts with step one. Just notice when you drift away. That's it. Simple awareness. Then you move to step two. You ask what you're avoiding. Then you understand your feelings. And finally, you act in small ways. The key is, instead of judging yourself when you drift off, you just get curious. And that ask step is really the heart of it all. You ask yourself, what am I avoiding right now? Is it fear? Is it loneliness? Am I bored? Am I in pain? Because that daydream, it's a giant clue. It's pointing you directly to a feeling in your real life that you're struggling with. And by asking that question, you turn an escape into a moment of real self-discovery. And really, that's the whole game right there. Healing starts the moment you stop running away from your feelings and you start trying to understand them. That discomfort you're trying to escape, it's not your enemy. It's actually a compass, pointing you directly to what needs your attention. And I think this is just such a powerful way to look at it. Your mind didn't create these incredible worlds to trap you. It created them to show you what you truly long for. All that confidence, all that love, all that success you feel in your daydreams. That's not just a fantasy to escape into. It's a map. It's your own mind showing you in perfect detail what your heart is actually searching for. So, now the real work begins. And the question is, for you, how will you turn that fantasy into your reality? Those worlds you've built are full of clues about the life you truly want. The challenge, and honestly the adventure, is to start picking up those clues and begin building one small, real-world step at a time.